I had rented a small cabin to spend a week alone. I was going through a creative block with my thesis. I thought total isolation would be the solution. The cabin was rustic, one floor, with a wooden porch that creaked with every step. During the first 3 days, I didn't see a single human being. The silence was absolute, but on the fourth night, around 11:30 p.m., that silence broke. I was sitting on the sofa reading, when I heard a metallic thud outside. It was a dry sound. Clank. Like someone hitting a metal pole with a stone. I stayed motionless. My heart was pounding in my ears. I tried to convince myself it was an animal, but then I heard something an animal doesn't do. I heard heavy breathing right under the living room window. It was slow and deliberate. I walked to the window. My hands were shaking. I looked through the gap in the curtains. At first, I saw nothing, but then my eyes focused on a figure. About 20 yards away, at the edge of the woods, there was a man. He was wearing a fluorescent orange hunting jacket. It glowed unnaturally under the moonlight. He was facing away from me, looking into the forest. I felt relieved for a second, until he turned around. He did it slowly, like he knew exactly that I was watching him. He had no face, at least, that's what I thought at first, until I realized he was wearing a latex mask of an old person, with an obscene smile carved into it. I jumped away from the window. I turned off the lamp, immersing myself in total darkness. I thought about calling the police, but the nearest town was 40 minutes away, and I had no signal. 10 minutes passed. I went back to the window, but he wasn't on the path anymore. He was much closer. He was standing right at the edge of the porch, less than 10 feet away. He had a Polaroid camera in his hands. I heard the shutter and the mechanical hum of the photo printing. The flash blinded me for a second through the glass. I panicked. I ran to the kitchen and grabbed the largest knife I could find. I locked myself in the bathroom, the only room with a solid lock. I spent the rest of the night on the cold floor, listening. I heard his heavy boots climbing the porch steps. I heard him circling the house, running his fingers along the wooden walls. At one point, the front door handle turned slowly. The wood creaked, but the lock held. At 3 a.m., everything went silent. When the sun came up, I left the bathroom holding the knife. I opened the front door slowly. On the porch, right in front of the door, there were 3 Polaroid photos. The first was my car. The second was the living room window, showing my face looking through the curtains. The third photo made me shake. It was a photo of the inside of the bathroom, taken while I was sitting on the floor. He had been watching me the whole time, through a small skylight I had forgotten to close. I packed my things and left. I never rented a cabin alone again, and to this day, I close every curtain in my house as soon as it gets dark. This experience happened during my sophomore year at a university in the Northeast. To pay for my expenses, I took a job as a night security guard at the Central Library. It was a massive building, built in the 1920s, with hallways that felt like mazes of books, and an old ventilation system that always made metallic groans. It was around 2:45 a.m. on a Tuesday. The library was officially closed. I was the only person in the 5-story building. I was sitting at the main desk in the lobby, a circular area surrounded by internal balconies. The silence was so thick, I could hear the ticking of my own watch. Suddenly, I heard a sound that didn't fit. It was a metallic clack. Right above me, I looked up at the vaulted ceiling. where the large air ducts were exposed. At first, I saw nothing, but then I heard a dragging sound. It wasn't a small animal. It sounded like something heavy, the size of a person, sliding slowly through the metal. I froze. I convinced myself it was the pipes expanding from the cold. However, the sound stopped exactly over the desk. A few seconds later, something fell from the vent and landed on my desk. It was a small chocolate wrapper, the same brand I had been eating the night before. I felt my heart jump into my throat. I grabbed my flashlight and pointed it at the vent. Through the slits, I saw a glint, a moist reflection that could only be a human eye. It didn't move. It didn't hide. It just stayed there, watching me from the darkness of the duct. I panicked. I walked toward the security office, trying not to run. Once inside, I locked the door and called campus police. While I waited, I heard a violent thud in the lobby. When the police arrived, they found that the ceiling vent had been kicked open from the inside. Inside the ducts, right above my usual spot, they found something that made me quit that same night. Someone had created a nest with old newspapers and stolen blankets. There were photos of me taken from above with a cell phone and taped to the wall. A detailed map of my patrol route with exact times. The man had been living over my head for weeks, moving in silence through the ducts while I walked underneath, completely unaware of his presence. During the summer after high school, I worked as a pizza delivery driver in a rural town in Pennsylvania. It was a boring job, until I received an order one Sunday night, 10 minutes before closing. The address was a forest road I didn't remember visiting before. The GPS took me to a 2-story Victorian house, isolated by a long gravel path and dense trees. There were no lights on in the entire property, except for a yellow bulb flickering on the porch. I parked my car, but I left the engine running. Something about the atmosphere made me feel like I should be ready to leave fast. I walked to the porch with the 3 pizza boxes. Before I could ring the bell, a raspy and monotone voice came out of the darkness of the side garden. "Leave them on the chair and go," the voice said. I couldn't see the person, only a tall shadow leaning against a tree. I told him the order was by credit card, and that I needed a signature on the receipt. There was an unbearable silence. I could only hear my car engine in the distance, and the sound of crickets. "Go inside," he finally said. "The receipt is on the entrance table. The door is open." My instincts went on high alert. There was no reason for him not to come out and sign. I refused, saying that company rules forbade me from entering private homes. At that moment, I heard the sound of metal dragging on the gravel. I didn't wait any longer. I dropped the pizzas on the chair and ran to my car. As I got in and put it in reverse, I turned on my high beams to turn in the narrow driveway. What I illuminated took my breath away. The man wasn't going into the house. He was crouching in the middle of the exit path, blocking my escape. He had a thick steel chain stretched between his hands, ready to hook it onto my car if I hadn't accelerated in time. When he saw I wasn't stopping, he dropped the chain and ran toward my window, smashing the glass with incredible force as I sped past him. I made it to the main road and called 911. When the police investigated the address, they found the house had been empty for over 5 years. The credit card used belonged to a woman who had been robbed that same morning. They never caught the man, but the police believe I wasn't the first driver he tried to lure to that house that week.